Good afternoon, America. Al Green for Worldwide Crime Watch. It is a glorious 80-degree day in Coronado. Tourists are filling up the town, even though it's April 19th, I believe, 20th maybe. It's just like summer. It's what we call an Indian summer, or a false spring, where the warm air comes off the desert instead of the cold air, and it creates a beautiful summer-like atmosphere. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. There was a time in Coronado when the only crime was killing time. Now the real crime is these deep pockets fellows, the ones that come to town and buy up an entire city block, and everyone says, "Ooh, isn't that wonderful?" The owners promise to do wonderful things with all the buildings, fix them up, and the owner has nothing to do with fixing up the buildings. That's on the tenant. First thing the owner does is jack the rent up 2 or 3 times higher. The little guy has to leave. He has no choice. He has no recourse. There are no oversight board of realtors that like there used to be. There are no ethics anymore. City council seems unable or unwilling to say or do anything about this incredible encroachment of, or should I say, the diminishment of the small businesses. Now, most businesses are safe, but I've noticed a couple small entrepreneurs that I've known since childhood. I've seen what the deep pockets landlord does. He squeezes out the people who cannot afford. And the ones that can just barely afford it, he dips right into their bottom line by jacking their rent up. For example, a restaurant comes to town, it's got a decent lease, not great, but decent, and the next year, the rent goes up 50 grand. The fellow complains and says to the owner, the deep pockets owner, "Look here, why does it go up 50 grand? And he said, "Well, look here, you look here. I hired a new manager and it cost me $250,000 for him." And the guy said, "So you pay?" He said, "Well, yes, of course, you silly man." Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say, well, it means to say this. You just gone up 40 grand. You just took out 40 grand of your profit, which means you're working for 40 grand less a year, 50 grand less a year. So the deep pockets owner says, "Well, there you are, that's it. I do all this management, not on your Nelly Duff. There's no management." Well, he also said, "I own thousands and thousands of apartments." And the same thing, with the exception of lights, sewage, etc., which are mandatory in California under the Renters' Rights Act. He does nothing. He's like got a couple of laborers who tickle the area with a broom and look like they're doing, but they do nothing. If you want something done in your building, good luck. Do it yourself. Or they'll say, "Yeah, it's going to take a long time because you lost all the building." Nonsense. They have no intention of doing any maintenance at all if they can help it. And they simply jack the rents up to eliminate the little business, because the true sticky, dirty story is that people like, well, let's take this restaurant, for example, the Henry. It's a corporate chain. They can afford anything because they go by the numbers and they haven't pooled their life savings like lots of people to open a business, because their mother involved, their grandparents even take a loan out. Next thing you know is they're out of business because the rent that they raised so high eliminates them from the game. And it's not here right now, but it's coming. I've given you a warning, America. I'm giving you a warning, small business in Coronado. If you've got a lease with anyone, extend it at this rate, or look out, because the moment this sets off, it's kind of the reverse blockbuster. In Chicago in the 60s, black real estate entrepreneurs would come in and buy one house on the end of the block. And they busted the block, because the next thing you know, if 2 move in and 3 move in, all the white people would just move out. They busted the block. Well, the inequity was, like a lot of black people couldn't get a house. And so, but the realtor was in it for the money, not for the empowerment of the black person. So they just busted up the block, and all the people got sick of it. They were racist anyway, and they left for whiter streets. Moved to the suburbs. But the point is the same. This fellow is coming in. He is obliterating inch by inch the small business. So I will have words with the city council and the board of realtors and anyone else who cares to listen, because something has to be done before it's too late. I say people are getting greedy, and that's all right, because capitalism is a wonderful thing, but over the top capitalism is predatory. It's no different than a guy charging you 92% for a loan, or the mob charging you the vig. That's like unreasonable. Unreasonable. That's an oxymoron. So there you have it. I've had my rant. I'm sticking to it. And if you want to say anything to me, or you want, for example, the owner of a block like this, maybe not this, or maybe it, if he would want to sue me for libel, I'll save him the goddamn trouble, because I've only got $13 and he can have it. I'm a charity. I'm 501c. Go sue me. I'd love to drag your ass into court and tell the story of how you raise the rents on the average businessman in this town and you force him out if he can't pay. So here's to you, Mr. Deep Pockets. Al Graham for Worldwide Crime Watch, and I thank you.